also known at Nifty Meta Girl. This beside me is Jaden. She's also known as Meta Mama. And we also have Fast Nifty, aka Producer Gabe. And we're going to get into it today. As an intro, let you guys kind of know a little bit who I am. I have been in the business world for the last couple of decades, had the awesome opportunity to get to build several businesses from the ground up. Invested several millions of dollars into different attractions and businesses, and that has been a really, really fun opportunity. That's part of what led me into being involved with crypto, and also really getting excited about the NFT space. Investing is something that's been intriguing to me over the years, but this NFT space opens it up in a whole nother world. Not only do you get to start learning about it from the investing side with the opportunity to benefit, but to be able to get behind the projects, that entrepreneurial spirit that runs strong in me just has gotten so excited being able to learn about different projects, see the people behind the project, being able to get involved, cheer them on, be involved from the beginning is just a really, really fun opportunity. And so how about you, Jaden? What's gotten you excited?
I'm really just excited about, I just had a little boy, so I think NFTs, like after talking to people and doing some research, I really think that it's the future, and I want to be able to hopefully have or make millions for him or to invest in stuff. And I also just really like the artwork and the projects, and I think it's really cool that a lot of these projects have a cool background or a cool like an endpoint that they want to get to, and I just think that all that's really cool. And then I'll put that with the artwork that you get out of it. I think it's just cooler than just donating to a cause, because you actually, like, not that you need to get something out of it, but you can also get something cool that you can keep for a while and memorable and things like that. So I just think it's a cool world, and I think that it's going to be a lot more prevalent in the future, and it's just something I'm excited to dive into more and learn more about, and kind of help people that are new to it like me and don't understand what the hell they're talking about most of the time. So
Right, very good. I think there's definitely room for that in this space. And Fast Nifty, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yeah. I've been pretty new to the crypto scene in general, but I actually create NFTs, music NFTs, always trying to learn about the space. And yeah, that's kind of my into this space is more of as a creator. I dove headfirst as a creator first rather than a collector. So.
And then from the producing side.
Yeah, so I've been producing podcasts and video content for 4 years now at this point, and yeah, I love it. So that's why I'm here.
All right, very good. So happy to have you guys along on this journey. And we're going to be bringing you podcasts on a regular basis that are going to give you some quality information. I am a huge podcast fan. I listen to podcasts all the time. I spend a lot of time in my car, so not unlike a lot of people these days, it's a good wealth of knowledge. And so as I was starting to get started in this space, that's the first thing I did was search in my Apple and Spotify for NFTs, and I was really kind of surprised that there weren't a lot of opportunities to learn from. And so you go to Twitter, you go to Discord, but there still is a voice missing, I believe, in that space that provides just information about how to get started, how to build your portfolio, also from every side of it. So just authentic information that can empower you to make good decisions. It seems to be missing at this point. And so I'm here to bring that to you.
And who doesn't like to get information without having to really read about it? I mean, I know I do, so.
Well, there's only so much time in the day, and as we all know, we're all really busy. And so if you can have that information streaming to you, instead of having to take the time to search it out and find it and read it, it helps a lot.
Yeah, it's much easier when you can get it whenever you're doing a feeding or changing a diaper than having to look it up. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes, I definitely gets frowned upon to be reading and driving at the same time. So podcasts definitely save me in that regard. So, for instance, one of the podcasts that I actually listen to regularly is Armchair Expert. So, any other fellow armchairies out there might recognize this or may have heard the same episode. But Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were on and talking to Dax about the crypto space and a new project that they were excited about. And it was really interesting because at that point, Dax had no interest really or knowledge about crypto and definitely mentioned a lot of the ways in which it could be a dangerous thing to kind of get involved with, that he'd heard war stories about scamming and this, that, and the other. So it was really intriguing to hear the other side of it. But what resonated was that hearing Mila talk about how excited she was about the opportunities from the creative side and the opportunities that they had by creating NFTs to support their next creative project was a way that kind of started clicking with me for me to see that this NFT space was maybe more than just creating artwork or owning artwork or using it as like a status symbol, but that there was actually community behind it, purpose behind it, and it was a jumping off point to be able to have control in a creative space. And that's something that clicked, that it was fully dominated previously. It was a way of overcoming the normal standard. And with having a business background, being innovative and learning how to overcome some of those barriers to entry was just intriguing. So I started researching that particular project with Stoner Cats and started learning more about the process and how it was going to go. And so Stoner Cats is actually the first project that I bought into. Even though I did not mint the project, it had already minted, which gave me a chance to learn about gas.
What does minting mean, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, absolutely. So when a project is usually the way it works, in the last few months, the projects will announce a date that they're going to mint. So that's when they're available to purchase. And so there's some advantages of buying them at mint, which is as you log on and this is the first time you buy the project. It's the first time it's available on the market. And so they usually have a set price for what the mint cost is going to be. So they set that ahead of time. Okay. And then they also, you purchase it for that price plus gas.
Okay.
And it's a fun way to buy in initially. Typically, the idea is that it's going to give you a chance to buy in at a lower cost than what the price will be soon after, because you're hoping that your project is going to gain value, and that will be one of the advantages of getting in early and supporting that project, is you have that opportunity to jump in, buy it at a low price that hopefully will increase to either give you more value for the long term or that you can sell it pretty quick in for a profit.
Okay.
And so there's also lots of ways that projects do that. It's common for a project to provide a whitelist. And so that's an opportunity that to kind of reward early involvement or support in a project. They do it in a lot of different ways, but it might be invitation contests. It might be ways that you are active in the community. There might be different ways of participating depending on what their goal and objectives are. So that's getting additional interest, spreading the word, they reward you by being able to be on this early list. And so they may open the minting up early for you. So you have the opportunity. Now it's become more common to do that. So you can, there won't be the huge rush at one time, which causes a gas spike. So you can have a little bit of flexibility in there, and that cost is you can have the opportunity to lessen that cost. You also may have a lower cost. The actual mint cost might be less than what it will be for the general public, but there's lots of different ways that can happen. But when it goes to mint, that has been a big question recently, is as gas has become more and more expensive, as people are excited about a project and it has a strong following, people start minting all of a sudden. And so all of this activity creates spikes in gas fees. Okay. And so that can be aversive. There's been, if for instance, that is what happened with Stoner Cats. And just because it's an important thing to know as you're minting, just because you put in an order and you actually are one that you have an order in to mint the item and you've agreed to the cost of gas does not mean you actually get the item. So that's an important thing to know when you're heading out into this world. There are no guarantees. And so just because you get that item and you're like, all right, I made it, it doesn't mean you're going to lose your gas regardless as to whether the supply is still available as your order fills.
Okay. So then if you don't get it at minting, like you said, is there like a secondary market that you buy it at? And that's what you did?
There's a secondary market, yes. And
Okay.
so, but as you go through your position, so if you look into it and you go, oh man, gas has gotten crazy, I'm not doing that, or you miss the mint, you can always go into, currently it's OpenSea is the most common place to go in. And there are some advantages of waiting to the secondary market. We talked a little bit about gas. That is an opportunity to be able to get in and miss the huge gas wars and all the things that come along with that. But a lot of projects now also do a delay reveal. So at the time of minting, you'll purchase your project. At random, you have the opportunity. You may have a super rare one, or you may have one that's super common. And so there is that chance, that randomness, that almost lotto type feel as far as not knowing exactly what you're going to have. And so projects have kind of developed this along the way. Initially, they were revealing right away, so you knew what you had. Now that's been pushed back further and further. And so there's different examples of whether that's been a success for projects or not.
So do you know how rare your stoner cat is?
I do, because I actually bought him through Rarity Tools. So I did check the rarity prior to, and he's in the 2000 rank. So my particular cat is Baxter. So with that project, they minted each of the characters. That is, isn't it? See, you need to get it. You need a stoner cat named Baxter. But they did each of the characters with that project to raise funds. And so each one of them is a little bit different. Mine has a lot of attitude. He's flipping you off. He's got his Birkenstocks and socks on, and true to the stoner cat theme, I'm pretty sure he has a joint as well. So he's very authentic. But there have been a lot of other projects that I've been involved with that I've gotten in at Mint. So different ones are trying different things to help lessen that burden of the gas fees. Each one, there is an excitement with minting. Another, for example, Riot Racers is one of the next projects that I got into, which it kind of fills another interest of the NFT space with gaming and also being able to have residual income that you're able to earn through their platform. But with Riot Racers, it's a racing game that their game platform is actually scheduled to go live next month in December.
Nice.
But fun fact about me, I have always wanted a Volkswagen Bug, and now I have one. So I made it through the virtual minting experience. And so I am ready for the game to get started so I can take out my Storm Chaser and rip it up.
So did you mint a bug or did you get to buy a bug?
I actually minted a bug, which is
Wow.
super exciting because their process was absolutely crazy. There may be thousands of you out there that have also been involved in these Genesis drops with Riot Racer, because I know we were all vying for the same car. So it made it extremely exciting. Their process, they went through, this team, they've made a big effort to make sure that scammers weren't involved, bots weren't involved, and manipulating the minting process, which made it a challenge for a lot of other real folks to be able to actually successfully mint these items. So there was a catch-up phase that you had to get through to be able to mint. Total mayhem. They built a marketplace in the effort to reduce gas costs for folks as well. And so each time a step is taken to maybe help with a step, it can kind of create some havoc in another area. One of the fun, crazy phenomenons of this space being so new is we're trying new things. We're all learning together. With that process, it ends up turning into it should be a 10-minute process to get to buy your item. With it ended up being hour and a half of not knowing if you're going to get it, whether you actually have it in your cart, whether you get it paid for. And they have a quantity available. So you are selecting that, putting in your cart, trying to pay for it. Other people are having issues with whether they're connected, their wallets are connected. So it is absolute chaos, but super, super fun. That particular project has improved their minting process each step along the way. And the last time, I have to say, it went very smoothly. It was a 5-minute process. They did it in an interesting way where you were put into a group. You didn't know how many people were in groups, so they did a lot of things randomly. And so instead of it being an hour and a half process of not knowing if you were going to get it, it was like a 5-minute. And I have to say, even though I was able to mint the things I wanted, by the end of it, I was slightly just like, That didn't last very long.
You're like, I almost wish they would have kept me guessing a little bit.
And so you get to learn a lot about your dev teams at the time of mint. So even if you're not minting a project, watching the Discord during the minting process lets you learn a lot about the people involved in the team. That's one of the things I look for when I'm going into a project. So if I'm not actively involved with the mint, really regardless of if I am or not, it's really intriguing to me. So Outlaw Gals is one that I love the artwork. It's a woman-led project, which I end up being involved in a lot of women-led projects. A huge part of my wallet is women-led projects or supporting women in the NFT space. And so this is a particular project. The artwork is phenomenal.
Really?
They have a female artist. It's a woman motorcycle gang. And so
I like women motorcycle gangs. That's pretty cool.
these are some tough broads. So they're not your typical polish. Well, they actually are. The art, like I said, the artwork is beautiful, but they have a little bit more edge than some of the female avatars or PFPs that you see out there.
Very fitting for Emma. I've known her for a while, and she might sound really sweet over this thing, but she's definitely got a tough biker babe side to her, let me tell you.
No, don't tell all my secrets. But they're definitely connected with this group. But throughout the minting process, their head artist, the artist that created this, she was right in there answering questions, extremely involved. And I just really love that because I know from me as a creator and as developing a business, I'm right there in the middle of it. And so I have a lot of respect and appreciation for a dev team and especially an artist that's excited about their project.
So by dev team, do you mean like a development team or?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so with different projects, some are really big dev teams, so they have all kinds of organization and layers. And then there's some projects that are really small. For instance, I think you may have gotten started with a project this weekend.
I did my first ever NFT, and I'm super duper excited about it because I have been, okay, so let me tell you guys, I've been looking at NFTs for a very long time now. Like, I've not say very long time, but for like, I would say a month now.
It's a long time in the NFT space.
Yeah, I've been trying to find one that I really want to get involved in because, as some of you know, like I said, I'm a new mom, and if you have children that was formula fed or in diapers or anything, it can be very pricey, so I'm being a little stingy with my money. So I've been looking a long time trying to find a project I really like and I think is really cool, and I came across Women's and Weapons, and so I kind of jumped in. I got one. She makes me think of myself if I was just a little bit more of a badass version of myself, you know? She's got her blonde hair, her tattoos showing everywhere, and I love it. It's like if I was like what I want myself to look like when people don't know what I look like. It's great. And that's why I use her as my profile picture. But I am super excited about it. I don't know. Have you heard about the project?
A little bit. So tell me why you're excited about getting involved.
Okay, so I'm really excited because after looking into it, I really like the community. It's a very involved community. Like you said, the development team is very involved, and I love it. It's a husband and wife are kind of the head of it. The wife has done all of the artwork. She's the one that made it, and her husband's just kind of there for support. Like one of their number one goals with this, like whenever just a few of them sold, is they were going to let the wife quit her day job. And so she could actually like go and do artwork, which is what she's always wanted her to do. And her husband and there's one other guy that's on the development team, and then all the rest are women. And this is like a team of 12. So I think that's really cool. And all the guys in it are just mostly supportive. And then their actual like the end of this is they're wanting to donate a lot of money to some projects that are help like encourage girls and to grow girls and to get them more involved in this space. And I just think that's really cool.
That is very cool. And so that's a good example of a team that might be a smaller team, so it doesn't have a lot of working parts behind it. But that is the kind of project that I get so excited about because it's giving people the opportunity to empower themselves, to be able to know that they have these talents, they have the ability, but they've never had the opportunity. And so being able to support people and empower them to change their lives, I mean, we're out, like, it's just such an amazing opportunity, and that gets me so excited.
Yeah.
And that, a lot of their messaging reminds me of another project that has been a very popular project, and on the forefront, but also one I've appreciated. The question comes up, does it have to be fully women-led to actually be a woman project? And for me, I do follow a lot of female-led projects or female-based projects, but it reminds me a lot of Boss Beauties.
Okay.
So they minted a few weeks ago, and they are very female-led. Their particular founder, she actually has been in the space for several years. She's built a brand called My Social Canvas, and she's been very influential in supporting girls in the workspace and doing internships and involved in the stock exchange. And her husband, Anthony, he is the one that is more behind the scenes and on the tech side of things. But it's an interesting fit to see her being the lead and him being very supportive.
That just shows you how involved you get in the communities that you're sitting here talking about people you've never met, and you know that her husband's name is Anthony. Like, I love that.
Well, it also helps a lot that's his call name. So that's his name that he uses in this space. But also it leads you to, wonder if they're, in this space, just like you said, your PFP is someone that, is a side of you that you like, but you don't use every day. That's the thing, is like, we don't know who the people are necessarily behind these projects, or you get to kind of change that image and develop who it is that you are showing to the world. So there may be instances, for instance, that the team is represented as female that isn't actually female. And so that's been, so as I've kind of moved into this space, there's projects that Fame Lady Squad is very famous for that exact thing, is that, there seems to be this strong message that people want women-led projects. And so giving those opportunities to women, but if there's not enough, it's the question, is there enough women involved in the space to fill the need for women-led projects? And back in July, there was a really interesting turn of events that kind of came about that Fame Lady Squad is one that I believe there was a group, the developers, they recognized this huge void or this huge demand for women-led projects, and they seized that moment and they created this artwork that resonated with the women wanting that need filled, but they lied about their entire basis. And so they represented themselves as women, said it was a women-led team, and it was not.
This is why we need people like nifty meta girl over here in the space, asking the hard questions and getting the hard answers for us, right?
That is what it takes, for sure. You can't always, then there's been another project actually that I got really excited about being involved in. The artwork was beautiful. The message was strong. Exactly the type of project that me personally, as a female entrepreneur, was excited to get behind, support a young artist, watch her develop this huge brand and grow it into having the opportunities that she liked. But it became apparent after I joined their community, I may have spent maybe more time in the community than what they would have wanted, because it became apparent that she, in fact, wasn't leading the team. They were using the image of her leading the team, but there was a very strong man behind it pushing the lead, and was definitely not fulfilling the requirements of what the project was supposed to all be about. And so, finding a voice of letting other women know that are excited about that particular opportunity. Like right now, it's really hard to share that information when you find out things in the space that might be spam related, deceitful. It's really hard at this time to get that message out. I mean, if you think about it, how do you find out about a project?
I find out about it I look on, or one of the ways I do it is Twitter, and it's like people sharing those projects, and a lot of the ones that I've looked at right now are like influential women sharing projects that they're excited about, because I'm kind of like you. I like the women-led projects. I have no problem with men-led projects, but I just like the women-led projects too.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the opportunity, for women to have that space and to have the opportunity. And I think that I get excited about a project that, for instance, one I got into early on was Cool Ladies Club. So it's a male artist, but it's representing women in a very cool, confident, beautiful way. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that image being put out into the community. I think it's important to see women in that way, that they can be beautiful, but strong and confident as well. And so I appreciate that is how the artist wanted to, use this opportunity out into the space, and is also very supportive with women efforts. Monies collected goes to women supported charities.
Oh, that's cool.
And so a lot of ways that he's still supporting women. He doesn't have to necessarily be a woman to see their need as a need and the motivation to support women.
Yeah.
So I say kudos to him, man. I'm all about it. But then you have the other side of it, which they are putting out artwork that women connect with, but the message isn't there. And so, on Twitter, on, individual discords right now, the whole messaging can be contrived very easily. And so as things are moving really quick and there's that ability to kind of pull a veil across what is really happening, how do you have that opportunity to let people know or to share those sorts of that sort of information? Because Fame Ladies Squad is one that has been very public in how it was discovered and how and the way that story actually proceeded is there was a kind of a public outcrying for that team to come public. They admitted they were 3 Russian dudes behind the project instead of a woman-led team, and so they actually agreed to give the project to a team that was then led by I'm Bored Becky and NFT Ignition, and then Data Lady, who is now Data NFT, if you've seen them out on the Twitter space. And then they've moved forward, and they've been putting a lot of effort into making that project successful, but also having it be way more authentic than what it had started off to be.
Well, that's really cool too, because it just shows like the community that you have, and like a part of NFTs I think is really cool is how much say I guess they give to their community, and being a part of this community is like those people realize that like, hey, our community isn't happy with us, and was able to actually make it a community that they are happy with, and that they're still part of the project, or like the project that they're proud to be part of. Like they've always been proud, but now they're more proud because it's what they actually thought it was supposed to be. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the developers, they did get to, step out with about a $1.5 million, so it worked out okay for them, I guess, in that regard, leaving the community to be something to rebuild themselves. So it has been a struggle, and so definitely have a lot of respect for those that stepped in to make the project happen. Punk 2476 has been very influential in that project as well, and she's going to be one of the top voices that you see in the Twitter space. She's formerly known as Art Chick, but she has been a strong female voice. But to date, she is kind of the lead female influential person in the space. And so that's the next step, is like who's going to step up and also follow in her footsteps, or also be able to step up and be influential as well, have that message, have that community building spirit behind them.
I personally think I would like to nominate Nifty Meta Girl, personally. I follow her a lot on Twitter, and I'm not just saying this because she's sitting right next to me. I really do love how supportive she is and how enthusiastic she gets about projects, and she puts a lot of really great knowledge out on Twitter, and just watching her interact with the communities she's involved in, I really do enjoy that, and I view you as an influencer personally to me.
Thank you, Jaden. This is a space and a project, and the whole NFT world is something that has motivated me to have a stronger voice socially than what I may have previously. So I've always monitored, been somewhat involved on social media, but never one to really have a voice. And so now with NFTs, I've really loved that opportunity and to be able to help other people build their opportunities is super exciting to me. So if I can get in there and actually make connections, we're early enough that it is super exciting to be able to get in and actually meet the people behind the projects, interface with the people that are creating this opportunity, and then also be able to provide that support, share the message. I mean, I love doing that. So as far as Twitter goes, I've been following people, learning, kind of getting involved, listening to lots of Twitter spaces. The information changes so quickly, but really building up and connecting with people that authentically I'm interested in, authentically want to be able to make those connections and hopefully create and cultivate a whole community there as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, that was something I was very, like, Twitter. Oh, I just said like so many times right there. I am sorry. But that was something I thought was really cool, is how involved Twitter is too, like how involved all these different communities are. Like, you see these communities everywhere. Like, the outreach isn't just in the NFT space. Like, you're watching more and more. Like, Twitter's something I've always been a part of, and I just slowly, as I started learning about NFTs, I was like, holy smokes, their profile picture's an NFT, their profile picture's an NFT. And I just didn't really realize how big the world, or the NFT world space, was until I really kind of started noticing it more and learning about it. And
it's growing faster every day. So a big push, and excitement on the women-led front is Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
The queen herself, she actually has announced on International Women's Day, she asked for projects in the space that she could be a part of. And I know that Punk 24, she has been pretty involved in making those recommendations, but there's also been projects like World of Women, Boss Beauties, Fame ladies have been definitely encouraging her to get involved. Lots of other projects in that space. And I know that she's also been she's posted different things on Twitter about being involved with women-led art projects. So reaching out to those artists, but it's going to be super exciting. I know she announced that Hello Sunshine, her production company, was going to NFT NYC in the next week or two.
Fun.
And so they're going to be meeting with different projects that are out there. So it's going to be really exciting to see what that brings to the space. And it was interesting as she was announcing. So last week, a big announcement or a big move in the world was Reese changed her PFP on Twitter to a World of Women.
And PFP means profile picture,
yes,
correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so, that's a pretty big move for that particular project, but also just for women-led projects in the whole space and for the education. Last week as well, another project that I follow, which was one of the first ones that I got involved with, is called Long Neck Ladies. And it's a project that was actually developed by a 12-year-old girl.
That's
so
awesome.
It combines all kinds of really cool things, in my opinion. This young girl that's been, given the opportunity for her artwork to be taken very seriously. Her mom's very involved in the project as well, as far as the marketing side and helping out with the administrative side. But she has created this amazing niche for herself. And so their mission is also to bring up other kids in the space and help them be able to find a community and have support and have the opportunity to develop their projects. So their Discord is Kids on the Blockchain, and there's kind of a group of moms that are working together to help their kids be able to navigate the art space and the NFT space. But man, Nyla, she has really stepped it up. We're going to hear plenty more about her, I know, as time goes on. But she last week was named as Time Magazine. They created their position to help facilitate their NFT development, and it is an artist in residence and an intern in their artist space. It's going to be helping to curate their whole next NFT collection, and they picked Nyla. She's 12 years old.
That's a 12-year-old.
I mean, it's really, really incredible
Holy
to get
smokes.
to see, her whole. I mean, this is going to be the future for that age group, and she is now, she's already getting in the position where she's going to be a leader in that space because she's getting started at the ground floor at such a young age.
That's another thing I just love about this community is Emma and I were talking about this the other day, and I'm fairly young. I consider myself fairly young, I'm about to be 23, and she was like, well, you're old almost for this space. And I'm like,
Holy
I don't
smokes.
get to tell her that very much.
yeah, but I was like, I never even thought about that. But when you think about it, that you 12-year-olds, that was that was 11 years ago for me. Oh my gosh, that was 11 years ago for me. And you don't even realize it, but like that's not uncommon.
Like, you're not
It's
seeing
not.
that.
I mean, as you're seeing people communicate on Twitter and the Discord channels, I mean, you are assumed there's a lot of assumptions that are made about the person that you're reading or maybe communicating with. But the reality is they could be 10, 12, 13 years old, or they could be 50, 60 years old, male, female, everybody in between. So it's really the opportunity, this space is really what you make it. If you're willing to work hard, make good connections, and actually get out there and like take advantage of the opportunity, it's enormous.
Yeah, that was something. I mean, just even in one of the discords I'm in, I was talking to an 18-year-old that had just been saving up his money and made his first purchase. But instead of stocks, like you see most 18-year-olds getting into right now, it was the world of NFTs, which is really cool to me. Like, I was like, I wish I was doing that at 18. That would have been so much smarter.
And even creators, I follow one on Instagram, and I got the opportunity to buy a part of his collection. And it's really cool to be able to find these creators and help them along their journey to get recognized, but also to be able to monetize, their creation. I mean, it's an amazing opportunity. And so I definitely look forward to learning more about this space, and also learning more about individual projects, and being someone that is providing information that helps empower us as collectors, investors, but also to be able to empower creators as well.
That's something I really respect, and I think is really cool that it's like it's not just a space for just collectors, it's for creators as well. And it's just a very welcoming space as a whole. And that's something I think is really cool.
I think that's been another thing that's been really intriguing to me, but also encouraging, is that, a lot of the communication that you see online in other social platforms can be really negative, can be really, just toxic. But this space is actually very welcoming and very encouraging. A lot of people out there being willing to help, but at the same time, there can be a lot of wolves in sheep clothing out there too. And so when there's opportunity, there's always the other side of it, where you're wondering if you should be trusting this voice. Who is this person? And if they have ulterior motives. So finding a space that you can kind of cultivate a community that is able to kind of let their guard down a little bit and know that there's useful information is a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, that's something that's been really, really helpful as a newcomer, because like I said, like there's a lot of stuff I've been paying attention to it and I've been trying to learn, but there's been a lot of things I still have questions about, or like I'm curious about, and I'm in one community that's just very, very helpful, and they're able to really help me out. And if any questions I have, they're able to direct me to the right way and stuff. That was like with this Women's and Weapons, like one thing that I was kind of confused about was like the rarity of them, and which I know is a big part of NFTs. If you don't know, like usually NFTs, there's whenever you're minting, there's so many of them made. So rarity kind of tells you like what out of 1 through 10,000, for example, because that's how many women weapons there are. Like I'm number so many on the rarity scale, but that was something I had no idea how to look at, and I had to ask Emma. I was like, okay, can you like tell me how I can figure this out? And she was able to direct me to rarity tools, which I'm still a little confused about. She understands a little bit better than I am, but it was really cool, like how helpful they are with all the different tools, I guess, that there are in this space, because there are so many.
Well, and as you start navigating and learning more, that is one of the ways that you can become empowered, is knowing what tools are available to you. And so also with Women Weapons, it was new enough that Rarity Sniper is your first chance of figuring that out, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, being able to walk through the steps, finding their Discord, joining their Discord, figuring out how their channels work, all those things to be able to make a wise decision, because that's why, for some, rarity doesn't matter. And in some projects, it's going to be less important than others. But in this particular one, it helps with feeling good about that investment, especially if you're purchasing one that is maybe not at the floor, but also making those good buys and being able to monitor that. So it's very soon. I know with your purchase, you made a good purchase. She's beautiful, and you did good on your rarity. And then it'll be exciting to see, as that project makes it to rarity tools, to see how that lines up, because that's also part of the excitement of minting is then your first opportunity is to see it on Rarity Sniper, a few other early. But as we know, that might change just a little bit before, by the time it makes it to Rarity Tools.
That's what you've told me anyways. We'll see what happens.
I think you did good. I think you did good. And, you know, that's a project too that the floor has held really strong. So it's always nice when you mint, and then the floor price is higher than the mint price. But then those first few weeks after, and that's a project too that I think got a lot of boost and help from Gary Vee. So the role that influencers play in the space is a really intriguing part of the marketing and also the value of a project too. So,
and for those of you that are newer, I just learned who Gary Vee is, so if you don't mind.
go ahead.
Yeah, he's, I guess, one of the really well-known names in the NFT space, and he backs a lot of projects that seem to be fairly popular and to grow fairly well. But from what I've learned, it doesn't seem like he backs a project that he doesn't believe in, which is something I think is really cool and really gives some validity to him as to, like, if he believes in it and he's going to spend his money on it, like, cool, like, I will probably do the same. I mean, I'm sure that you look at the projects he recommends occasionally.
Definitely. He's one that I watch. Punk 2476 is another one that I watch. And there's some other big leads in this space that if they're paying attention, Pranksky is another one that he seems to be more art focused, which I appreciate a lot. Each well in the space kind of has maybe their kind of what they're into or the projects that they kind of go after. I know I end up watching 24 the most just because she is more women focused and women led. But that, you know, so it's kind of like the egg before the chicken kind of debate. Like, how big of a success is the project? How much of the success of the project can be attributed to that person? You know, and so it does leave that question. We don't know that at this point, but are there some projects that may have been more successful had they had that influence? So, you know, and also just because those people are purchasing the project does not guarantee that it is going to be a successful project. And I think a lot of times my concern for those projects that have big names associated with them at the minting phase is if that's sustainable, if they're going to actually be able to keep that momentum, because then you have to turn it over to the dev team and the artists, and then you see kind of the validity of the project. So.
And I heard you call them as well. I'm sorry, I'm going to pronounce this word wrong because I can't tell the difference between well and well and well. But I heard you call them whales.
Correct. Is that
whales?
Whale. Okay.
WHALES.
Yes. So are those big names, I guess, in the NFT space?
They are basically influencers, people that come in and could usually purchase a large amount of a project, that also have a commanding presence in the space. So basically one that people are like, if they're buying it, I'm buying it because this is a project. If they're willing, just like you said, if you're willing to put their money in, I'm willing to put my money in and take that bet. And so, but that can be a little misunderstood at times, or people can buy in and have expectations on a project doing a certain thing, and then that person being like, well, that's not even why I bought it. You know, that your goal and my goal are not the same. And so there's, you know, definitely a level discussion there as to whether, you know, making a move because a whale is what is best in your best interest, because you are just assuming what their goals are.
That's true. So I guess it is important to follow people that you kind of align your goals with a little bit more if you are going to be putting influence on them and not just making the decisions yourself.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That also made me think of something that I just feel like we should go ahead and get out there on episode 1. I was kicked out of speech when I was like in 6th grade, so there's going to be a lot of words and stuff I probably mess up on or I can't say. So just please don't make fun of me too much for it, okay?
I can't believe you would be kicked out of anything involving talking.
It's amazing whenever they're tired of you not being able to okay, there we go. I'm not even going to say that word. The difference between the 3 different kinds of wells or whatever, but oh well, I guess.
Well, luckily we're here for the NFT info, huh?
Yeah. Hopefully there's not too many words I can't pronounce in the NFT world. But
well, we will get to the bottom of them and get that fixed for sure. So, Jaden, yeah, I know we've talked about your interest in women and weapons, and I think that's a fun project. I'm looking forward to looking into it further. And so, are you interested in any other upcoming projects?
So I actually have two that I've been looking at. One of them, the first one, sorry if I don't say this name right, it's called the Pangeans. It's spelled Pangaens, just in case you guys want to look it up. That one I haven't really got to deep dive into yet to learn more about it, so I'm still looking. It's minting in November, and I'm hoping to maybe mint as long as it's the project that I'm thinking it is. I really like the artwork, and that's kind of what has perked my interest at first, but I haven't actually looked into it yet, so I'm still kind of looking. And then the second one I've actually deep dove into is called Women's Rise. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
I have. I've been watching, yes.
Perfect. So you can probably tell a little bit more about it than I can, but I'm new to it. I haven't really got to deep dive into it so much.
Well, so I've been watching on Twitter about 2 weeks ago. It was one that came to the forefront, and I looked into it. I looked at their website. I was impressed with the progress that they had already made in the space as far as empowering women. So their book is available this week, but already highlighting influential women and doing a lot in women and also with female minorities, and then also having a really strong effort and roadmap to be able to empower young women, bring them into the space, but also provide other opportunities. So all of the things I look for in a project that I like a lot, and it's also one I think that'll be important to watch because they gained some traction over the weekend. People are also noticing, other influential people are noticing, and so their pre-sale filled up this weekend. I think they had seen that they anticipated that lasting a little bit longer, it taking a little bit longer. But again, women in the NFT space is something people are very interested in right now. And so they definitely are filling that bill and one that people are watching. So it will be one to make sure that, I think it's going to do really, really well.
Yeah, I was kicking myself for learning about them too late because whenever I went to go check it out, their whitelist had already filled up. And I was literally an hour before I got there. And I was like, this is about how it goes for me. But as you say, it's an ever-moving space, and I need to be more on top of it, I guess.
Well, that is a hard part right now of knowing where to go for your information.
So I know you asked me about projects I'm excited about. We've been kind of talking. You've been hinting at a project that you seem to be really excited about that you might be involved in. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Is it an NFT? What?
It's definitely in the NFT space because that is the space I've become extremely passionate about. And so I'm leading a team where we're building a platform that we are going to be removing the power from the bad actors in the space and turning that power over to the community and bringing new liquidity into the marketplace.
Well, that's exciting. So you're leading it. What all does your part of the team entail then?
So I'm not a coder, so I'm not the one making that part of it happen, but I am a very experienced businesswoman, so that is the lead that I'm taking. So leading teams, meeting with lawyers, meeting with financial representatives, all the things involved in making sure that this is a successful project.
That makes sense. I didn't want to say anything, but I've known you for a long time, and I know you're a woman of many talents, but I did not think coding was one of them.
Not yet.
In the future. Speaking of the future, is there a time frame that we should be looking for this platform, or?
That's a good question. So we have been working on it for several months. It's had to be under wraps, been pretty quiet about the details, but we're getting more and more clearance from legal to be able to talk about it, but we're still probably 3 to 4 months out from actually being able to make this official and make it available to the general public.
Okay, so we still have a little bit of time to wait.
Yes. However, in the meantime,
I like howevers.
As I mentioned, I'm so excited about this space, and there is definitely the opportunity and the need available for our community to be able to empower themselves, to learn more about it. So I am launching a Discord server. I'm excited to get to announce the name of it is MetaJungle. And so this is going to be a place like we've talked about today. There's, to find information about projects, you have to go to their Discord channel. You have to go to Twitter. There's all these different places you are trying to navigate to be able to get the information that you need to learn about a project. Also, there is limited power in those communities. So luckily there are great projects out there, but there's also some that are lacking in that regard. hard. And so there's times in which you are silenced or controlled. So this is an opportunity to be involved in a community that is unbiased, that has information, that is the whole motivation is to make sure people have the power to be successful.
Well, that's exciting. No, you're not lying though. I sit there and I can like go and feed the baby, and the next thing I know, I've missed like 1,000 different things between all my Discord channels. So I'm excited about having all of it in one spot.
Yes, me too. I've learned that on Discord you're limited to having 100 different servers. So that seems insane and ridiculous. And so this will be that one place that you can come to and get all the information in one place that you need.
And are we gonna have to wait on that one too, or?
No, it's very exciting. You can find the link to the Discord server in the description below. So please come and join us, and let's go on this adventure together.
Well, I'm excited. That's exciting. I'm gonna go and join as soon as we leave this table. But I'm just curious: is there a reason why you chose MetaJungle as the name?
Well, the jungle is where the apes and the punks come to play, and we don't want you to get lost in the weeds along the way.
Well. Wow, Dr. Seuss over here. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm excited to kind of weed our way through the jungle again next week. And I'm happy that you guys are here. So we'll see you guys next time.
Come and check us out at MetaJungle.
See you later.
Oh, we should have said, Gabe, you still over there? You still with us?
Well, we can just leave it in. There you go. I was still here the whole time.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
I thought we might have lost you in the jungle there for a minute.
All right. See you next time, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.